So the National Guard was deployed to LA, and it is to help deal with some of the fire, but it's largely because of the looting and the arson. And you know why this is so, I don't know what the right word is, right? Schadenfreude comes to mind, but I really feel bad about it, guys. I really feel bad. And that's the thing about you and me and all of us. We are not hate-filled people. I look at the suffering in California, and it terrifies me. I got friends in LA, as I've mentioned over and over again, who are hippy-dippy, liberal, lefty types. And it really annoys the hell out of me because I'm like, I've called them on the phone like, dude, you know me. Like, listen, please. And we argue, but it's okay. We're friends because we're not insane people. So I do get scared. I don't want my friends to get hurt. You know, the way I described it last week was, I know some people who live up in these hills who, like, I'd take a bullet for them. I've known these people my whole life. They're some of my best friends. I'm a little older now. It's not like we hang out all the time, but we do see each other from time to time, and they're good people. And that's why, you know, I do feel bad over what's happening. But again, I got to say, Schadenfreude a little bit, the looting and the arson. You see, during the BLM riots, these people were cheering it on. Not really my friends. No. I want to clarify. I don't know I could be friends with somebody who was cheering on violence and destruction. I'm just saying, like, I've known people since I was 18 who live in these areas, and we hung out a lot, and they're good to me to this day. They've never defended the riots, the violence, and the arson, because, you know, but they've still pushed the pride and the left and Democrat and all that stuff. But I'm a sane person, you know, so I'm not going to disown a friend over this. And they are too, because we still hang out. And I do think it's largely these kinds of people which convert. You know, they wake up and they say, maybe I was wrong about that, because they're not completely unreasonable. And they're the ones suffering that I'm really worried about. But as for these activists who cheered this on, they're now getting a taste of their own medicine. And while I still feel bad, part of me has to admit, Schadenfreude, you know? Gavin Newsom's deployed an additional 1,000 National Guard, and it is largely because of the looting. Deadline reported, Newsom sends more National Guard personnel to LA to halt looters' fires. Update. Well, I got to throw it to our good friend Adam Carolla, who lives in this area. I believe he lives in Southern California. He's always been a good dude. He's always said what needed to be said. I tremendously respect this man. Grew up listening to him. Here he is to this day, making this point oh so well.
So the National Guard has pulled in. And the National Guard has pulled in because there have been lots of stories about lots of looting, because we live in Sodom and Gomorrah times here in Los Angeles. Like,
I'm losing my voice.
We are so bad that after we mismanage the fires, then all the human beings that are criminals that are running around the streets, who are tired of doing street takeovers and tired of pulling copper wiring out of street lights, now have mobilized, and they're tired of looting the CVS and the drugstores and the Gucci purse shop and everything else. They're bored. They've now taken to looting because people are being removed from their parking lots, or I should say being removed from their neighborhoods and transported places. And so the neighborhoods are empty, and now the looters have moved in. So we've called the National Guard, and the fine people of Santa Monica and Malibu and the Palisades are very happy that the National Guard is now here protecting their homes and their valuables and their property, and stopping arsonists who are copycat arsonists who are starting and trying to light more fires and being successful. So the people of Santa Monica, people of Palisades, people of Malibu are happy to see the National Guard. But when BLM was burning everything to the fucking ground in Seattle and in Chicago and in Portland, you pussies were against the National Guard being called in because it wasn't your shit that was on fire, and it wasn't your store that was being looted, and it wasn't your house that was being looted. That was somebody else's. So during the entire BLM riots, when everything was being burnt in the ground, well, those were just business owners who may have lived in the Portland area, so they can fuck off. off because you're too busy virtue signaling and taking a stand. And God forbid Trump suggests that the National Guard be called into these cities. You were dead set against it, citizens of Santa Monica, because you're so much better than we are. But now that it's your shit that's getting looted, well, now you're happy to see the boys in uniforms that are cordoned off your neighborhood with your precious shit in it that you don't want to see stolen or burned to the ground. You didn't give a fuck when this was going on in every blue city in the United States. You were all against it. Well, now it's your city and you love it. So think about that, you fucking hypocrites.
Yeah, there's a story that I'm trying to find that I couldn't find the image of, but it's funny. It goes way back to riots in 2020, where as these people were tearing through downtown LA, this guy on Twitter is like, yes, burn it all. And then like an hour later, he tweets, wait, why are they coming to Beverly Hills? No, wait, don't. Then the next tweet is him like, they're climbing the walls. Make them stop. Oh, no, don't come to my house. Yeah, Adam Carolla nails it. A little more fervor than me, but I think that's the reality of what we get, right? These people in LA have to deal with what they have promoted. Take a look at this from Colin Rugg. LA County District Attorney reveals that an Emmy Award was stolen. Seriously? I don't know if this clip's a little too long to just go through the whole thing, but they reported that law enforcement is swarming the areas impacted by fires to enforce zero tolerance policies against looters and arsonists. One of the people who was caught in these areas was on active parole and had concealed a handgun. These are not great people that are being arrested here. These are people who are seeking to take advantage, adding insult to the worst injuries. And you know what I got to say? Jimmy Kimmel and Joy Reid and all these other people have the nerve to insult us and Donald Trump. We're sitting over here minding our own business and we got choice words for you. That's it. That was always allowed. Okay. If I want to criticize your policy and say that you failed your state, okay, strike back, criticize me. But you got gangs starting fires. You've got homeless starting fires. You've got rioters and looters. I only got a few words for all of you in the progressive left. Looting is what is it? It's revolutionary. The act of looting is defiance against the machine. Isn't that what they said? Let me pull that one up for you. We'll get that one for you guys. Don't worry. In defense of looting. What a famous story. Famous story. Oh, there's so many options. Here we go. I'll just pull up the Wikipedia entry for it. I was in Ferguson, and I watched people rampage, smash buildings, and steal stuff. And it was sad because the locals were begging for help. The locals didn't like the looting. The locals said, you're destroying our community. Please stop. These people are coming from outside. But what happened? Vicky Osterweil wrote a book in defense of looting. Yeah, denouncing nonviolent resistance, arguing that when violence is pushed as philosophical, moral, and religious principle, it gains a nasty authoritarian edge. The article that was written was basically saying that the oppressed of Ferguson were fighting back. The looting was them saying to the ruling class, it's our turn now. Which is a lie. That's not what was happening. Young men were linking arms to protect their businesses from outside forces that wanted to steal stuff to, quote unquote, come up. That's what it's called. It's called coming up. I came up on something. It means they stole it. But this article turned into a book. Here we go. In August of 2020, Brett Stevens for the New York Times wrote, In Defense of Looting is not an interesting book. It speaks for almost nobody beyond the fringe left, and certainly not for looters who hadn't thought about cis-heteropatriarchalism. Cis-heteronormative patriarchy, they call it. In a review by Graham Wood, a staff writer for The Atlantic, called the book The Pinnacle of Looting Apologia, saying if the real lasting change you wish to effect is burning society to cinders and crippling for a generation its ability to serve its poor citizens, then I suppose I'm forced to agree. Well, I'll throw it to Adam Carolla, who nailed it. He lives here, right? He gets it. These people have been claiming that rioting and looting and arson and all of these things are good until it hits their neighborhoods. So here's the question I have for all of you. Will California turn red because of this? Honestly, I don't know. I don't think so. California used to be. But the problem of policy extends beyond just whether there's homeless people, fires, riots, looting, arson, etc. It extends into the procedural element of voting itself. So I wonder, Even if the overwhelming sentiment of California is that we need change, unfortunately, they're going to vote for another Democrat. That's what they do. You know, in New York, with all the problems they were facing, they said, let's vote for a different Democrat. That's the game they play. If one Democrat does a bad job, we vote the other Democrat. And they're all part of the same party, with the same ethos, following the same rule book, and they'll get exactly the same thing. I'll wrap it up there, my friends. We got more segments coming up. Next one will be at 1. Don't miss it. Smash the like button. Share the show with everyone you know. Buy Cast Brew Coffee. Become a member at timcast.com. And we will see you all in the next segment.